Sometimes the bad guy has a superpower, and sometimes they're just really smart. Sometimes both. I'm Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 bad guys who are way smarter than the protagonist. Number 10 is Kefka, Final Fantasy VI's notorious and awesome villain. Kefka is a mage, doing things basically on orders, or at least so people think. Everybody around Kefka assumes Kefka really isn't that big of a deal until, well, he goes on ahead and makes everything bad. He has a combination of narcissism and nihilism that just makes him very dangerous considering how smart he is and how very well he outwitted everybody by presenting a sort of lighthearted appearance while essentially scheming to become a god in the background. By contrast, the protagonists of Final Fantasy VI just really have no idea what's going on most of the time. And although Kefka was driven insane when he was the first experiment in the Magitech Knight project, this guy was a dark dude with no empathy and a high-functioning brain that managed to fool everybody around him.
Why create when it will only be destroyed? Why cling to life, knowing that you have to die?
Number 9 is Handsome Jack from Borderlands 2, Tales from the Borderlands, and Borderlands the pre-sequel.
Oh, this is so frustrating. You see, this is what I don't get about you bad guys. You know the hero's gonna win, but you just don't die quickly. Man, example, this one guy in New Haven, right? City's burning, people are dying left and right, yada, yada, yada. This jackal rushes me with a spoon. A freaking spoon, and I'm dying laughing, right? So I scoop out his stupid little eyeballs with it, and his kids are all, wah! And I can't even, he can't see where he's going, he's bumping into stuff, and anyway, I don't know, maybe he had to be there. The moral is, you're a total bitch.
If you follow Jack's arc from the pre-sequel all the way on, you know that this guy is literally somebody who came from nothing and became the dictator of a planet. Handsome Jack has the amazing ability to just sort of tell the truth in a really messed up way. Specifically in a way that gets exactly what he wants every time. And although he's a guy who literally bought a diamond horse at some point, which sounds like a waste of money when money is nothing, you're the dictator of a planet, and you essentially hold control over everything, hell, why not? You can get everybody to do anything for you, why even care? Number 8 is the Master from Fallout, who was an ordinary human at the start. With doses of the forced evolution virus, he gave himself an exponentially higher intelligence than he started with, and he started off above average. The Master is incredibly charismatic and with a hyper-evolved body can interface with computers. He also has psionic abilities, which he didn't even necessarily need due to his incredibly good logic and charisma, but hell, why not? He would find out people's greatest fears and capitalize on them by projecting horrible imagery into their minds. Number 7 is the Illusive Man from the Mass Effect series. The Illusive Man, obviously an incredibly good businessman, incredibly forward-thinking, and somebody who was able to use all of the traits of heroism, improvisation, and proficiency in action simply by getting a hold of and controlling Commander Shepard. The Illusive Man built a hell of a network, and to be that in control without actually being the ruler of anything, to kind of operate in a shadowy manner as the head of an organization/company, somebody of lesser intelligence couldn't accomplish what he accomplished. However, in some ways, his accomplishments were also his downfall. He went a bit too far into what he wanted and maybe flew a little too close to the sun on wings of wax. That's not to say Shepard's dumb or anything. Shepard's just not a hell of a lot smarter than most people. But the Illusive Man is a friggin' mastermind. Number 6 is Shodan from the System Shock series. Try saying that 3 times fast. Shodan is a sentient AI that was essentially unleashed. Originally, Shodan had protections that would stop it from becoming too intelligent, but here's the thing, a machine that operates on numbers and logic, becoming extremely intelligent and ever more sentient, usually creates a serious problem in that things that humans consider as important, like staying alive. If they defy logic, there's no reason for it. Eventually, it's Shodan's intelligence that makes Shodan the big problem Shodan is. She rewrites segments of her own code, she stores herself in innovative ways, and just generally makes herself impossible to kill. Can you actually kill lines of code? Probably not, but the lines of code can kill you.
Look at you, hacker. A pathetic creature of meat and bone, panting and sweating as you run through my corridors. How can you challenge a perfect, immortal machine?
Number 5, the Joker in the Batman Arkham series. Truly a mastermind that continually outsmarts Batman time and time again.
Let's see. I'd like to thank... who is it? Oh, yes. Me!
The way Batman beats the Joker is by finding him and beating the tar out of him, or the Joker dies of an illness. That also happens. But Batman does not outsmart the Joker. In fact, the Joker continually leads Batman through inordinately planned traps and scenarios that generally seem to be mainly for the amusement of the Joker, but also typically serve some sort of motive as well. And let's face it, even if he was dumb as a box of rocks, Mark Hamill is portraying him and his Joker is the best Joker. Number 4 is Andrew Ryan from Bioshock. Andrew Ryan did something amazing. He created an underwater city in which complex systems all come together to sustain a society in a place where humans literally cannot inhabit. Now, that doesn't mean Andrew Ryan's ideology is good. The whole objectivism critique is the point of the game. And it also doesn't mean he was free of mistakes. He obviously screwed things up multiple times, and, well, everybody was gunning for him by the end of the game. But the sheer force of will, planning necessary, and architectural ideas make the creation of Rapture, even though it probably wasn't all micromanaged by Andrew Ryan, an accomplishment only somebody with a massive amount of intelligence could spearhead. Number 3 is the boss from Metal Gear Solid 3, which it is hard to grasp the intelligence of the boss. I've played Metal Gear Solid 3 repeatedly, and it took me several playthroughs to truly get what the boss was always getting at. She is utterly Machiavellian, albeit on the side of good. She does so much to manipulate the bad guys, and she does so much to manipulate the world into thinking that she is a bad guy specifically so she can defeat the bad guys. It is such a complete fabrication or theatricality that's so detailed and well worked out and truly amazing. Her orders were just to infiltrate and create a reason for stuff to go down. And not only did she repeatedly do that, she told you outright what she was doing more than once. The boss is such an interesting and well-written character. I love that game so much. It is easily either tied for the best or the best of the Metal Gear Solid games. Number 2 is Glados from Portal. Obviously, Glados is, well, the perfect villain. Glados is super smart, super vain, and a computer, so she feels nothing, and yet she acts like she feels stuff often. She changes her mind. She displays complex motives that can sometimes revert into simple, awful motives. But it really depends on how Glados is operating. She is always a danger to the player, though. You know, except for when she's not for a while. Glados is kind of like a Rube Goldberg machine as an AI. She's incredibly smart, but all of the smart is totally unnecessary. And yet, for the charm of Glados to exist, it is totally necessary. It's a contradiction, but if she was just some mindless, bloodthirsty computer who didn't act like GLaDOS, there'd be no fun.
I have to go. Wait, this next test does require some explanation. Let me give you the fast version. I'll be right back.
And finally, number 1 is Albert Wesker, the guy behind pretty much every problem in Resident Evil. This is a guy that infiltrated the police department, created a division that allowed him to keep an eye on what they were doing, keeping them away from Umbrella's research, and continually just being at the right place at the right time, over and over and over, while also engineering a number of situations that continually put him in the driver's seat. It's actually hard to believe they finally got rid of him. He had such a far reach that even though he was dead, he still had influence over the events of Resident Evil 6. Now, there's plenty of game bosses that are smarter than the protagonist, and they are a fun discussion to have. Believe you me, we enjoyed coming up with this list. So let's meet in the comments and continue that. If you enjoyed this video, please click like, and if you're not subscribed, now would be a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is a subscription. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon, and you can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.